everybody? How are you doing? How are you doing? And welcome to the Chapman Show. Today, I have a special guest. Give it up for Mr. Fred Pierce. What's up, Fred? How are you doing?
What's going on, man?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Show.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. So you are a bare knuckle fighting championship vet. So tell me, how did you actually get involved with bare knuckle championship?
Well, I started out just doing like pro MMA, and I did amateur boxing and pro MMA. And when the BKFC first came out, I reached out to one of the guys in the organization, Paul Tyler, and said I wanted to fight. Well, and another organization popped up with WBKFF. They're defunct now, trash organization. But I ended up doing a fight for them. Got my foot in the door. That was my first fight on TV, and then after that show, it went defunct, and almost all of the fighters got absorbed into the BKFC. Had some big names like Chris Lieben and Julian Lane, but then some guys like Reggie Barnett, some junior and some unknowns like Sheena Starr. They picked them up, and they're kind of making a name for themselves too.
Yeah, Sheena, that's my homie. I love Sheena to death. That's my girl. I actually probably need to get an interview with her soon. Like that. That's my homie right there.
Yeah, if you want to get some likes, put Sheena on. She will bring the attention.
Yes. Now, out of curiosity, what you said the first bare knuckle championship was trash. What happened with that first organization? Like, I don't know the history behind it. I'm still very new. I've watched some of the bare knuckle fighting championships, but like I'm not very familiar with everything. I'm still learning myself. So, what happened with the first organization?
There's a lot of hype behind it. Boss Rutan was the president, for them, and everyone had respect for that guy. And they put on a nice show and flew us out, but then they didn't pay any of us. All of our checks bounced.
No.
And then the guy goes to prison for fraud, and so we're just all waiting for that to come to an end, so we can all. I think there's like a class action I need to get in on to try to get some of our money back, but it just he didn't pay anybody. So
now actually, it's so crazy you said that, because like I remember watching Chael Sonnen talk about something like that, and he said that Bas Rutten actually wasn't like the president. They asked him to do some promo for it, and he jumped in and did some promo. I actually remember hearing a podcast like that. So, because
he signed a lot of checks, and he presented himself as the president. He wasn't the owner, but he was. He went on a lot of big MMA media outlets and said he was the president. So, Kale just wrong about that one.
So how did people not get paid then? So was he the person who actually had to pay people? I'm sorry, like I'm sorry, I'm going like into the past like so deep, but I'm just curious to kind of find out what happened with that.
All I know is that every fighter's check bounced. From the prelim guys like me to the main event guys like Julian Lane and Joey Angelo and Chris Lieben and Phil Baroni. I mean, all of us are we're in the same boat. None of us got paid. The hotel didn't get paid. So I mean, it's just kind of your guess is as good as mine. I don't know where the money went.
Wow, that is rough. That is rough. Okay, now the bare knuckle fighting championship. Those guys are completely legit. Very good organization. I've been seeing I mean, they cleaned it up. Like this organization is extremely legit. Now, how is it fighting for the new organization? Let's not talk about spilled milk. How do you like fighting for the new bare knuckle fighting championship?
Man, Dave Feldman is an awesome boss. Came out there and told us, hey, I expect you guys to fight. I expect you to engage. And as long as you do that, win, lose, or draw, we're going to have you back. He said, what I don't want is, some running and jabbing for 5 rounds. He said, if the fans are booing, I'm not happy. And that's what it's all about, man. And he let us know right up front what's expected of us. and he's been supportive. He's the check cleared. That was the I got back, my check cleared, and man, he just is top notch from head to toe. The guys like Nate Shook and Kevin Smith, Mort Goldsmith, Gary Grant, Phil Lambert, from Jeff Houston. I mean, just all those guys with the BKFC, they're just top notch. Treated the fighters great the whole time we were in Tampa.
Okay, now you just fought on a very, very big card. You fought on the Gonzaga versus Bigfoot fight. So after you got done fighting, did you get a chance to just watch it, or were you sore, or how did your fight go? What happened? Give me that.
I went out and stood in the audience and met a lot of the audience members and took pictures with them and shook hands and watched the rest of the card.
On a 1 to 10, how sore were you after that fight?
Right after the fight, I didn't feel too bad. My face was a little numb from the punches, but I didn't really feel it too much till the next day. I went out and I enjoyed the night, the experience, and the moment with all the big names, Vanderlei Silva and Fabricio and all them guys were there. Artem Lobov came up and took a picture with me, and Jason Knight. So, I mean, I was there to have a good time. Win, lose, or draw. I fought hard, so I was proud of my performance. I had nothing to be ashamed of. I shared the ring with a very game and tough opponent, and Zach Jusola, and I went out and enjoyed the benefits of that. The fans, and they seemed to really enjoy it too, to come up and get to talk to someone that was in there and ask them what the experience was like, and I enjoyed chatting with them.
Well, that's cool. Now, speaking of the Jason Knight and Artem Lobov fight, they're getting ready to fight again in a few weeks actually. Now, I'm not trying to start up too much chaos or drama, but who you got in the second fight? Who you think is gonna win that second fight, that rematch? If you had to pick, who would you say has the advantage in that rematch, in your opinion?
Man, I'm not trying to be neutral. This is honestly, both those guys are warriors, and after watching the first fight, I don't think they're going to ease up in the second. It's either going to be a split decision or a draw. Either way, I really can't lean towards anyone, man. Both those guys were top-notch gentlemen after my fight, and I can't pick against either one.
I understand. I see. I was actually watching some of the promo earlier today. I was watching something from the Bareknuckle Fighting Championships. I seen one of their posts, and Jason Knight was saying that he kind of underestimated Artem this first time, and he said he's gonna come a little bit more ready. I don't think he was ready for what Artem had to offer, and I feel like I'm very curious to see how this fight goes, because I mean Artem, he's been in there with a world champion now, Paul Malignaggi. What did you think about that fight between Artem and Paul?
I think Artem just kicked Paul's ass all over the place. Paul's style of boxing that doesn't transfer over to the bare knuckle world very well, in my opinion. The guy was a world champion and a good fighter in his own right, but I didn't think for a second that he was going to go far in the bare knuckle world anyway. And I mean, he lost. I mean, and then he complained about losing, so it's kind of hard to deal with the guy after that. But I mean, he lost in on my cards from watching him. So
yeah, I thought the same thing when I watched the fight. I mean, Artem, he's a good boxer, but I feel that bare knuckle boxing is a completely different sport. I didn't think that he was going to do good either, and I thought that when I was kind of watching everything and watching the lead up to it, I thought he was going to break his hand like he did, because I know he's had problems with that in the past. I think that a lot of actual traditional boxers won't do as good in bare knuckle boxing because it's different. I mean, you can't really guard yourself. I fought bare knuckle. I used to fight on the street myself, and then I went into MMA and I've done boxing, and it's very different. So do you think that most boxers will be able to come cross over very well, or do you think it will be more MMA people that will cross over into the bare knuckle fighting championship? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be the guys that have like an MMA striking, like Johnny Bedford. You know, he's a very aggressive. He's got good, crisp skills, but he's aggressive. It's not all about just boxing, because in MMA you're used to the small gloves and those punches getting through. In regular boxing, I did a lot of amateur boxing. You can cover up and block a lot of punches with those gloves on. And in bare knuckle or MMA, those punches get through. So, I mean, it's good to be a good boxer, but I think the MMA experienced guys, you know, for the most part, have shown they're taking the cake on that. You know?
I agree. Johnny Bedford, he's a tough dude. He actually, I remember an MMA fight. He beat Taylor Moore. Taylor Moore is a monster. Johnny is an absolute killer. He's fighting Felony, if I'm correct, right? Former, he used to be called Crazy Horse. Now, how do you see that fight playing out?
Bedford's going to knock him out, in my opinion. You know, all respect to Charles Felony Bennett, but you know, Bedford's intense, and he's got that style. He's going to come at you. I just think Bedford's going to end up catching him before 5 rounds is up.
I agree. I mean, I got Felony on my Facebook, so Felony, don't get mad at me if you see this, but I mean, I kind of agree. Styles make fights. You know, it is what it is. I'm not being mean or trying to pick on anybody or say anything negative. You know, but
he's the you know, bare knuckle Hall of Fame Police Gazette champion for a reason, man. They don't, you know, Scott Burke don't hang that belt on anybody, and you know. I don't see many lightweights taking it from Johnny.
I don't either. Okay, now actually, Fred, where are you actually from? I mean, I'm in Michigan right now. I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan at PMN. Where are you at? I mean, I see a ring behind you. Where are you at? Like, what's going on? What city? What state? Where do you train? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I trained out in Vegas for this fight, but I'm from Tallahassee, Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma. Okay. Okay, so you are literally in Oklahoma right now?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is my boxing ring. We have Muay Thai fights and boxing events here in town. I put on for the town from time to time. And
that's awesome. So is Oklahoma so is Oklahoma sanctioned? How does that work, or is it not sanctioned?
USMTA sanctioned with U.S. Muay Thai Association. That's an amateur sanctioning body and stuff like that. And if we do boxing, it's just like a smoker. It's free to watch. And we have headgear and everything like that.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
We're just in a town of 1,800 people, you know, so you can't really afford to have a big sanctioned show very often. But yeah, we do a lot of smaller and amateur shows.
That makes sense. Okay, now I ask this question to everybody that I interview because I love fighters. I love the psychology behind fighters. I'm a fighter myself. I love the arts. I love any type of combat. If I see somebody street fighting, sometimes I will pull over and watch it like on the street. Like, I just love fighting. So what made you decide how did you get into fighting in the first place from scratch? Like, I mean, how did you start out, period?
Well, fighting with my friends and cousins and stuff around here. But I originally started fighting in the original Tough Man contest amateur boxing circuit back in 2000. And I weighed 188 pounds, and I fought in the heavyweight division. And I went 18-3 at that, you know. And,
wow.
As an amateur boxer for them. And then I went into pro MMA. And went 3-7, you know, didn't do so good.
It happens.
As MMA, because I had more of a boxing background, and my jiu-jitsu and wrestling wasn't really up to par with my boxing. And then I got the call, you know, a guy named Paul Tyler called me up and asked me if I want to do this Bareknuckle Boxing gig. And I was like, yeah, man, that just sounds like a sport for me. So that's where I'm staying now. I'm really not going to take any more MMA gigs. I might take a pro boxing match, but it's pretty much BKFC for the rest of my career.
I understand that. I understand that because you said that you're not a jiu-jitsu guy. You're not a wrestler. I mean, like most of because I'm the same. I'm a pro MMA fighter as well. I'm a 2-4 guy. I haven't took a fight in a while because like I work a normal job. It's hard to work a normal job and train properly. And so I definitely understand what you're talking about. Like almost all my fights, I've lost on the ground as well. So I understand why you wouldn't want to go back and forth, back and forth. So how many more fights do you think you got left in you?
I'm going to fight for at least 3 more years, and just as many as I can pack into there. It depends on the damage I take. But I'd like to have at least 5, 6 more fights. Pack in as many as I can, and then call it a career and maybe train or recruit some fighters. If I go to work for Dave Feldman, you never know.
Right? Yeah, you never know. You never know. So I don't know. Do you have anything like on the horizon that you can talk about, or
There's supposed to be a February show for the BKFC. I'm supposed to be on that show. They're looking for me an opponent, and I'm just waiting for news from that. I'd love to break it on your show whenever I find out.
I would love to have you break it on my show. Now, out of curiosity, where will that one be in February? Do you know yet?
I have no idea. They have not locked down a location. They just said they will have a February show, and I'm just kind of waiting on my tiptoes to find out myself.
Now, something I'm also curious about, because like it seems like the shows are like coming very close together. Because it just seemed like that last show was like not too long ago, but I'm just now hearing about this other show. Like, I mean, do they have them back to back? Do they have them like every month, every few weeks?
Nate Shook said we're having 14 shows next year. So, it's gonna be BKFC every other weekend, hopefully.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Is there anybody that's kind of on your radar that you've been watching that you might actually want to fight? Because I mean, I feel like the sport is very new, so it's not a whole lot of bare knuckle fighting guys out there yet.
Not really. I just told them, they treated me right. Did me with a fair matchup with Jusola, and I told them, hey.
Oh, I think we lost Fred. For a second. Let me see if we can get him back. Let me see what's going on. Okay, we lost Fred, but we got him back. Okay, what's up, Fred? Okay, got you back.
Got a little too far away from the charger, it looks like.
I definitely understand that. Okay, now I believe we were talking about people that you might want to possibly box. Is there anybody that has stood out to you, somebody that might be a possible opponent, or you just kind of go with whoever is given to you?
I'm just going to go with whoever's given to me. I don't feel like I feel really fortunate to be where I'm at with the BKFC, so I'm not going to try to pick and choose fights. Whoever they want to match me up against, I'm game. I won't step away from any of the competition, in my weight division, whether it be at 165 or if they decide to bump me up to 170, or I'm pretty game for whatever they got in mind.
Now that makes sense. Now, out of curiosity, and this is something that I've kind of wondered, how does that translate to a boxing record? Does it count as a normal boxing match? It's not an MMA. Like, how does that even work with?
It's its very own BKB Combat Insiders. I don't know if it's combatinsiders.com, but I know Combat Insiders has a boxing registry with that now. So they're actually ranking all of the. They have a BKB ranking system, and we've all been put in there. And they haven't, I don't believe, come up one for our class. And then Scott Burke with the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame in Belfast, New York, they have a ranking system, and I think they're working together to kind of sync those. So
okay.
We actually have a legit ranking system, kind of the way Sherdog did with MMA, and how they keep track of everyone's record. So that's kind of similar to that, I believe, what they're shooting for. Kind of similar to with boxing.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, now I've been in a cage as a professional fighter. I've been in a boxing ring, but very different. I mean, I think we were wearing like 6-ounce gloves. It felt like you were getting hit with bricks, you know. Now, bare knuckles is completely different because you can't punch. I mean, you punch hard, but you have to worry about damaging your knuckles, if I'm correct. Because I remember when I was in high school, I used to fight in like a little underground fight club, and a lot of times, I mean, when you hit, I mean, you can cut your knuckles open very, very easily. So walk me through your last fight. How did it feel? If you can remember everything, like what was it like to actually fight in the ring? Can you actually walk me through your last fight? I want you to give me like a visual of what you remember from your last bout at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships.
Okay, I get out there with Zach Jusola. Whole game plan is just hit him hard right off the bat. So it's just kind of counter to what you were just saying, is like guys try not to swing as hard, take it easy on their knuckles. And man, these old fists are tough, you know, and I wasn't worried about that. I was swinging hard. I was trying to knock him out from the get-go. I knew he was a real slick boxer, and I was just counting on trying to catch him with that one shot. And late in the first round, I catch him, knock him down. You know, he's a little wobbly on his feet. As soon as they start us back, he beats the 8 count. They stand him back up. As soon as they start again, the bell rings, so I don't have any time to kind of, you know, follow up on my knockdown. Second round comes out. We stand and bang about the first 30 seconds. He gets some good shots in. I fight him across the ring, get a few in. He turns, gets my back against the ropes, and he catches me with a good shot. And before I can recover from it, he catches me with a few more. And that's the last thing I remember. Docs are, you know, then I remember the docs, you know, waking me up and, you know, standing us up to announce he's the winner and stuff like that. And we go to the back and get stitches together. So,
oh, that's savage. I love it.
I was one of the few guys that didn't have problems with my hands in the back, and I'm glad for that. You know, Juice had a bad split on his hand. He had to go get checked out. I know Walter Barros there and a few of the other guys, they were shaking hands with their elbows, you know, because
I know.
Reggie Pinion. Yeah.
I know how you feel. I literally got scars on my knuckles from when I used to fight bare knuckle. Actually, I have one of my bare knuckle fights on YouTube, and but we weren't. This is like a long time ago. We weren't even wearing mouthpieces. Like we were hitting like teeth and stuff. Like yeah. I mean, please tell me that y'all wore mouthpieces and everything like that. I mean, I don't know.
We had wrist wraps up to the knuckle and mouthpieces, and you either had to have a boxing groin protector or MMA cup. They're still pretty lax on that. It's either or, but we have protection all the way around, and boxing shoes. It's legit, man. It's the biggest bare knuckle attraction in the world right now.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that first Artem and Jason Knight fight, after I watched that, I was just like, I was like, oh my god, it was so savage. And when I seen that, the blood, because I was watching that, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so crazy. It took me back to when I was a kid, except like 20 times worse. But I like it though. I mean, I don't know. I'm a savage person, so I love it.
I think generally that's what the combat sports fan is looking for. They're looking for two guys to get out there and, duke it out, and not be afraid to take shots and give shots. And that's what the BKFC is bringing. And that's what Dave Feldman, he don't even want to pay you if you don't get out there and fight, much less have you back, So, I mean, I think this sport is only going to grow and go upward because that's what I know. I was on BKFC 8. Everybody went out there and put it on the line. You know, went out there and towed the line and took and gave some shots. And there were some big knockouts and some upsets, but there was no shortage of, you know, pride and fight, you know. So.
Yeah, I love it. I remember I watched the interview and he was just like, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. I know he was being sarcastic, you know, but like a lot of people got really, really mad about that. But I mean, it's his organization, you know, like the thing is nobody wants to watch something that's boring.
It was Rowdy Akers and he paid the guy, you know, and everything due to Rowdy, man. Rowdy's said, hey, you know, I know what I did wrong, but I want a second chance. And he's doing what he's doing, you know, winning fights outside there, trying to get his way back in. You know, he's not got no bones about it, but, you know, Dave was he was kind of setting the tone like, hey, this is not what I want. I want you to fight. I pay you guys to get in there and bang. And I knew what I was being paid for when I got there. So, and Juice did too, you know, so when we got in there, we threw hands. There wasn't no, you know, chasing each other around the ring. And I didn't have to look for him. He didn't have to look for me.
See, I like that though. I mean, that's what it's about. I feel like you have to have a lot of action because it's a new sport. So I like that they push the action like that because that's one thing I'm not gonna say is I'm not here to down boxing, normal boxing. I love traditional boxing, but the thing is a lot of times it is kind of boring sometimes, you know? Like if you don't know who the main card fighters are, you just kind of sit and watch boxing like but you know, bare knuckle fighting, it's a fight. It's like a street fight. Like you see people go to throw. That's exciting. You see blood. You see action. So it's just exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In Bareknuckle, it's like every punch can cut you.
Exactly.
You know, every punch can do damage. So if you throw it, you know, you got to have a little something on it.
I agree. Okay, now we got to wrap this up. It's about that at that 30-minute time limit. So is there anyone that you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any shout outs that you want to give?
Yes, man, all my hometown sponsors, they paid for me to go to Vegas for my training camp. First, I want to thank Dave Feldman for the BKFC and all those guys there, Scott Burke with Bareknuckle Hall of Fame, and Howie Atherton and Joe and all those guys. Jonathan Balgam, my trainer, coach of champs, famous trainer from there in Vegas, man, really rebuilt me and got me ready for the fight, and he'll have me even more ready next time. And then, like I said, my sponsors down here at the Cannabis. It's a medical dispensary, Blevins Tree Service, Valley Superfoods. I'm going to forget one of them up around now. Hobo Art and Apparel. And that's it for now.
Okay, that was Fred Pierce. Once again, Fred Pierce. Be watching out for him. Looks like he's a tough fighter, always game, always ready to go. You could just tell by the interview, his excitement. He had nothing but good things to say about bare knuckle fighting championships. That's definitely an event that I will have to go to. I'm going to start going to their events. I watch them on pay-per-view. They look extremely entertaining. I mean, you don't get it. I mean, that's action at its best. So thank you, everyone, for tuning into this podcast. If you have not subscribed to the Chapman Show, please do subscribe. Also, we'll be doing art raffles. We have an art raffle for a very beautiful table. Part of the proceeds will go to helping families for Christmas time. I think that's going to be the main focus. So go to thechapmanart.com. Once again, thechapmanart.com. I will have artwork for sale, artwork that will be raffled off, and artwork that will be given away. So if you have not liked the Chapman Show, once again, subscribe. And as always, we'll be having very, very good podcasts, and we'll be interviewing the top athletes on the planet. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And until next time.